morning, Coach.
Morning.
Able to pull off a dramatic win over Central Michigan over the weekend. Thoughts on that as we turn the page now and get ready for Akron?
Really proud of the fact that our guys responded 3 different times is what we talked about last night. Coach Harkema said there's going to be 3 plays in the game, and I think it was 3 responses. When we turned the ball over on the 3rd play of the game, our defense in a sudden change situation just came up big. Our sidelines was infused. It was the way that sudden change is supposed to happen, although we don't ever want to have one of those. 4th down stop, and just was a do-over for our offense. And then they went down and scored. So the second response would have been at the end of the half, when we took the ball away, seemingly in the red zone, planning on going in and scoring. We immediately turn it back over, and they score. We had 55 seconds left and still got down and kicked a field goal. So that was a second great, just resilient response. And then obviously the whole second half, the 3rd quarter was close to disastrous for us. But our guys didn't break, didn't fold, stayed with it, and then had a spectacular 4th quarter, responding to the 3rd quarter. So, lot to learn from. It was a really good day overall.
Coach, that game's fabulous for what I do, so thank you, because that was thrilling, no doubt. What do you attribute to that 4th quarter turnaround? Really, where did you feel that things swung as you guys kind of launched into that 22-point comeback there?
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily a single play. I think that there was just, we didn't have momentum offensively and defensively. But, I just done it long enough to know sometimes on the sideline, you can just feel deflated. You can feel, sloop shoulders, and there just wasn't, any of that. And so I really do believe that it was, the guys' belief in resiliency first, and then the plays came. Although, and I said this, I don't know when, but it just seems like in rivalry games you have the craziness, right? You get a turnover, and then you turn it right back and they score a touchdown. It just seems like it's the rivalry games that stuff like that happens. The tip pass, should have been caught, but it was tipped and then caught. That was the beginning of the scoring offensively, in the 4th quarter. But I will say this, it did not take much at all, right? Because the guys weren't down, that, when a couple plays were made, when we got to stop, there was just, even more life, if that makes sense.
Coach, I know they put Kent on man-man. They really wanted to try and stifle him, but then Allen and Lockett go off and have great games for you. It's been a while since 2 receivers had 100 yards receiving in this game. Could you talk a little bit about Lockett and Allen and their performances? Yeah,
Lockett's had a number of really good games, and Marcus has been steady throughout, and then this just happened to be a game where, the ball found itself to Marcus, and he absolutely took advantage of it. We've known and have seen, him being capable of that. The way, that you want it to work is the way that it's now working, where on paper, on film, the confidence that we have, internally, those 3 guys, and there are others, but those 3 guys, you can't really choose to, try to take, you can choose to take one away, but we have other guys on the field that we can go to. It's not a one-man show, and that makes us explosive.
Defense came up big when you needed them to. Trey Lang seemed to come up in some big moments as well. Could you talk a little bit about Lang?
Yeah, he's been a really good addition. Coach Teagarden, we recruited him a year ago, ended up going to Indiana with Coach Teagarden. And then when the Indiana coaching change happened, Coach Teagarden came here, and Trey sustained an injury there, and was looking for a new home for his last year, and has really been a good fit. Early on, just know that his skill set was going to be a really good third down pass rusher, and he's certainly that, but is becoming more than just a pass rusher.
I know we'll hear from Cole Snyder in a little bit, but can you kind of talk a little bit more about what his leadership, his confidence behind center has done for this offense and keeping them in situations where they can come back like the Central Michigan game?
The quarterback gets a lot of credit and gets a lot of blame. It's just the nature of the sport. This game for Cole, I think, was huge, and only he knows, inside, what completely went on throughout the whole deal. And we had a couple conversations during the game. The interception early did not rattle him at all. The third quarter, I just thought that our offense was out of sync. He threw some balls that were all catchable, but his precision is usually just right on the mark, and so we were just a little off. And again, didn't have anything in terms of execution that we could really hold our hat on, and it just wasn't going well. And he then had the ability to just to flush that and to play free again. There's no other way I really can explain that. I played the position, and there's times where it's just you might feel off, and I'm not saying that he did. This is just my deal, my observation. Where you don't want to feel that way, or just it's not coming out of your hand, whatever it is. But to his credit, I think it's so hard, to be able to say, start over, we're good, just play the game, don't worry about anything. And in my mind, that's what he did, which is, again, I think incredibly difficult. And then because he never, in any way lessened his leadership, or his outward appearance was always consistent, and then just did a remarkable job. Obviously, in the fourth quarter, it was a no-brainer that we were going to go for it on 4th and down, and loved having the ball in his hands. And it was a great day for him.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, to talk about Cole's protection up front, Central had, some heat on him a little bit, got him to work his legs a lot more. Brock Rowan came back from injury. It looked like a bunch of guys stepped to the left while Blake swung back to the right side. What was your kind of thoughts on the protection that he had?
Yeah, so you mentioned we had some guys playing in different positions. Brock had been out, I think, 4 weeks, so maybe 3 games. So our offensive line is still coming together, in that way. We have not, the amount of different starting lineups or, snaps of guys playing together in the same position has not accumulated, the mass that you'd want after 7 games. But those are all above-the-line guys that we think are really good football players, and we're continuing to get better. We don't want to give up any sacks. It really wasn't scheme, issues. There was, just some blown assignments. There were some just fundamental flaws, that we got beat on some of those sacks. All correctable issues.
I think we kind of referenced it right after the game where, Cole's interception, it happened, but it didn't weigh on him too much. He was able to keep his head above water and keep going. Same could be said about Terry Locka. He had some early opportunities dropped, and then he ended up heating up way later. Just your thoughts on him to not only have the day that he did, but for him to stay upbeat and stay ready for his next occasions.
And Terry's another guy. Terry's pretty quiet, that really consistent, has confidence in himself, and so I didn't even think about him, having any kind of issues early or any kind of concern about, whether his confidence was shaken or anything like that. You saying it right now is the first time I would have thought that.
We already mentioned Trey Lang's name earlier, but a bunch of the guys on the defensive line, not just against Central, but all season long, have been stepping up, a lot of rotation. You said before you wanted to bolster the inside, and you added a lot more rotational pieces for the outsides too. Just your thoughts on the pressure that your defense has been able to not just apply on Central, but on offenses this year.
Yeah, so I think any defense is going to start with the defensive line, and then you want to even start with the interior of the defensive line, and we have bolstered that unit. I think that our defensive staff is really, and Coach Steckel with the inside guys, is doing a really good job of sort of keeping a play count, keeping those guys fresh throughout the game, because we have a number of guys that are, again, above the line, and so we're able to keep guys fresh and playing and just rotating through, which is a really big deal, right? So you get to a fourth quarter of a game like that, and you saw how well, our defensive line played, both with pressure and with the run. So, and then defensive end, where we were crushed last year, with injury, we've been able to, both in the interior and the defensive ends so far, we've stayed healthy, and so we're thankful for that. And again, I just think that you have fresh bodies, and that ends up being a big deal.
And my last, obviously, we're going to Akron this next weekend. Against Central, none of their receivers had more than 2 catches, no more than 1 catch, I'm sorry, which is good for, the pressure to do that, but the coverage as well. Akron's definitely going to throw the ball a lot. They really emphasize that with Joe Moorhead. What are you expecting to see out of their offense, and how do you think your defense is going to be challenged through it?
Yeah, we're watching Akron yesterday, last night, and then, all morning, and starting with their offense, they're really good. The quarterback starts with him. I think it was at NC State, and then Cal, maybe started at Cal, and I think Coach Moorhead attracts really good quarterbacks and does a phenomenal job with his creativity, getting the ball to his playmakers. They use a ton of RPO, and this quarterback can definitely hurt you with his feet. He throws a really good ball. He's got a quick release, and he always has options. They do a good job of getting the people that they want to get the ball in their hands, including the backs, into positions and scenarios where they become options. And so they're very well coached, and they're very good. So we are already hard at work on a plan to try to slow them down and keep them in front of us.
Coach, congratulations on the win, first of all. And then you've always emphasized resilience. After losing the lead in the third quarter, due to turnovers and big plays by CMU, how do you keep the team focused and their confidence up to come back from that game?
Yeah, I don't really think it's anything that that I do. I think it's, I don't know, to some degree who we are, in the program, that, we're going to never give up. We're going to never give in. We're going to play, the entire game. And you know what? There are times where that hasn't gone as well as you'd like. I think that maybe this week some of it was the preparation. Our guys did an outstanding job of responding to our meeting a week and a day ago. We practiced better last week, and there's just intentionality with that, with the players just saying, okay, look, we got to have a better 2-day and a better 3-day and a better 4-day, and we did, and they did, and so it was a build throughout the week. And so you're talking about the second half, but the third play of the game, right, could have popped a balloon or deflated it, anything like that, and it just didn't happen. the guys had, put too much into it, if that makes sense. And so I think that was maybe a picture of the whole game as well. That this is something that, that they were going to fight all the way through. Yeah.
Coach, final question for me. Just what's your message to the fans and students who turned out really in full force and it created a loud environment, certainly in that second half?
I want to thank all of Eagle Nation, everybody who was there. It was a beautiful day. I want to, thank the athletic administration, and just the department for supporting and showing up, and our student body, the community, our alumni that came back was phenomenal. Those tents, were full, and it made a difference. I mean, not only the noise, and we got a couple of false starts, on Central there when on critical downs, and I think just the feel for our guys again to pull up to the stadium 2 hours and 15 minutes before kickoff, and all the lots are full. The Eagle Walk was crazy, just a lot of it. Just so it just made it feel important and a big deal, and that's what you want on a home game on a Saturday afternoon. And so everybody was a part of it. It was a great day for our program and for Eastern Michigan.
Cole, could you talk about that fourth quarter a little bit? What the team was feeling when you guys were down 18, and what you were saying to the offense as you guys kind of started that climb back?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you never want to be in that situation. But to be in that situation and to see the guys respond and keep playing and keep battling was a great testament to what kind of team we have. And, I think it starts with our leader, Coach Creighton does as good of a job as anybody, if not better than I've been around, of building a team. And when I say team, I don't just mean 120 guys in green uniforms, a team that wants to play for each other, has the passion and energy they have because they want to go to war with the guy next to them. And it's not just by lifting weights and showing up to practice. Coach Creighton does so many different things that bring us together. We climbed a mountain, the seniors together. We climbed Pikes Peak. It's like the little things like that he does such a good job with, that when it comes down to the fourth quarter and we need the guys to stay together and we need to keep fighting, I think we go back to those things. And to see us stick together and play the way that we did for 4 quarters is just something that I'm just so proud of everybody in that room.
Coach referred a little bit to that third quarter, didn't know exactly what you were feeling. It seemed, too, that when you opened up with your back to the line of scrimmage and rolled around, I don't know what their blitz package was, but they were on you pretty quick. You guys got away from that. But what were you kind of feeling in that third quarter, and how did you straighten yourself back out?
Yeah, really the whole game just felt out of sync, putting the ball in jeopardy and turning it over twice, especially on the third play of the game, can never happen. You know what I mean? I'm going to call good, and I'm going to call bad, and this is really bad on my part, And then also not taking care of the ball, getting the fumble for an 80-yard touchdown. That's just bad football, and that can't happen. And no yard is more important than the ball. There's only one way to score without the ball, and that's a safety, right? And that's why the ball is the program, and got to do a better job of taking care of it. I think we were just out of sync as an offense, and a lot of that starts with me. So I think this kind of revealed my process a little bit, and I got to be better at practice during the week. Got to focus on the right things, and I'll do that going forward. But a lot of it started with me, so I got to be better, and we will be better going forward.
How big around did your eyes get on Lockett, that pump fake, and then he breaks loose towards the middle of the field? That thing was a thing of beauty. Can you talk about that play and your timing with Lockett during that game?
Yeah, I mean, I pumped it. I thought he was going outside. He slips it back inside, and luckily I was able to hold on to that ball and get it to him. And just talking about like the team, and that's like a symptom of what happened. I think just the team sticking together. The O-line straining up front, just letting me hold on to it for an extra second. Coach sat up here and talked about, we didn't play Eastern Michigan branded football last week versus Miami. And, I think a lot of times I believe in God. You can believe in whoever you want. And I pray to God and ask him for certain things. And a lot of time God doesn't give you those things. He makes you go through certain situations to get to where you want to be. And I don't think we were ready to win that game last week, and we need to learn how to play Eastern Michigan football. And I'm glad our team went through that hard lesson and learned it now and rather not later. So just to see our team fight and play Eastern Michigan football, it's not about execution, just going out there and making plays, but it's about like the energy and the sideline and the way that we play the game. And without playing Eastern Michigan branded football, that play doesn't happen. So that was a huge part of it.
One more from me. Marcus Allen had a huge first half for you. Can you talk a little bit about your quarterback-receiver relationship with him and what he was able to do in that first half to really open things up for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, Marcus has been a guy that got here in the summer, wasn't here in the winter when I first got here. And, he came in with just such like a humble and grateful attitude. I think a lot of that comes from the circumstances and everything that took place for him to get here. He had a pretty crazy journey of getting here. Went through a lot of different experiences that probably made him that way. And a lot of guys knew when he first got here that he's a really talented player and stuff. And I don't think his production was where he wanted it to be and where everybody else probably thought it was going to be towards like the first half of the season. But I've always told him like, yo, I know the type of player you are. You know what I mean? Just keep staying humble, keep staying down, keep working hard, and it'll come. And everybody knows the type of player he is. And when they want to take man out of the game plan, credit to 4 and number 4 on their team and everything. He was a tremendous player. They had a lot of different players on the field that took man out a little bit, and to see guys like Marcus and Terry step up is awesome. And the funny thing is Marcus could have had probably 250. If he caught the one down the sideline, which looked like he caught it to me, and then he caught the one that Terry caught. He probably would have had 250. So just to see that the ceiling is so much higher than what he had is awesome. And I know that he'll keep performing and keep coming to practice and working hard every day.
Cole, you just referenced the one play when we just talked about the first one where bounced off Marcus' hands into Terry and gets in the end zone. What do you remember about that play, and like for you to be able to like take that away? Do you just like look at the result of it and be like, okay, it's touchdown, we're moving on, or is it like, okay, that's not where I wanted the ball to go? How do you look at that play?
Yeah, I think when we're down by 18, the biggest comeback since 2000, I think I saw today. You got to have a couple bounces go your way. You know what I mean? And I look at it as a blessing from God. You know what I mean? I don't think I didn't put the ball in a perfect spot where I didn't. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try to bounce this off Marcus's hands and let this one go to Terry. So I think God had a lot to do with it. And at the end of the day, if you just keep playing hard, good things happen for you.
Look, that's how you drew it up. Great execution. After the game, your coach mentioned that it's not just you that's leading this offense. He also leaned on Dell a lot this year, or his team's leaning on Dell. For you guys both as graduate transfers, coming in with, just under a year, you're leading this offense in your first year here, probably last year in college for both of you guys, right? Why is it important for you guys to be senior leaders even though you weren't here developing as freshmen, being like the old school kind of senior? Through your guys' eyes, what is your leadership like? Yeah,
I'm glad you brought up Dell because he's a guy that this offense counts on a lot, shows up to practice every day, and has become more of a leader as the season has came on. And it's awesome to see him out there, and I love playing with him because he shows so much passion and so much grit and heart throughout the game. Like, I mean, we hand him the ball, he goes, bulldozes a couple people, gets up. You know, what's the next play? He's never trying to come out, and you know, him as well as Dion, Ejak, and Dante McMillan. You know, he'd still be out here, and love all those guys. But it's great to see him like really step up as a leader too. You see it in practice, especially. You know, him leading those guys, practicing hard, setting the right example, speaking up, using his voice. So that's been huge. And I think it's just kind of the way that college football is now. You know, the transfer portal is a big thing. We have like over 50 guys that are new to this program, and you know, you go through your own experiences at different places. It might not be in these walls, but you go through them and you learn from them, and you got to apply them. You know, they're all your experiences. Doesn't matter where you are.
I've been watching EMU football since 2010. You probably have my favorite touchdown celebration of all time, the old thumbs up to thumbs down. How did you think of that? What went through your head before you even did that? I just need to know the inspiration behind any of that.
Yeah, so if you don't know, the reference is from Gladiator. Watching Gladiator, you know, the Kane sits up there, he does his thumb up, right? What do we want to do with this guy? And then thumbs down. So the reference is from Gladiator, and just watched the movie a couple weeks ago, and you know, just happened to be at a good time.
Cole, what was it like to play in such a vocal homecoming crowd, and how much of a factor was that crowd's energy in helping you get back that win?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome to see Eagle Nation show up like that. You know, I haven't seen the stadium that packed. You know, we pull up to the game, and there's tons of fans, tents, I mean, people everywhere. And, you know, a lot of the old alumni came back. It was great to see. The true EMU collective guys were there. It was awesome to see them, and thank you to everybody who supports them and the true EMU collective. Without you guys, you know, a lot of this stuff wouldn't be possible, so we appreciate that. But it was just awesome to see, you know, and I think that had a lot to do with us being able to stick together and persevere through a lot of the adversity, you know. I think one of the reasons why, like, we were able to do that, and me specifically, is you know, one of my mentors taught me a really cool thing, Tom Rapizzi. He's been a huge mentor to me and taught me so much, and I appreciate him a ton. But he always told me, like, a true surgeon, you know, can take someone's finger off at 9 a.m. and then save 3 people by 5 p.m. You know, so it's not about just how you start, but you got to finish, and there's going to be adversity along the way.
And you've played in big games like this before, but how does this comeback rank in terms of personal highlights for you?
Yeah, I mean, just personal highlights. This has got to be number one. You know, it's just awesome to play in these type of games, and you know, those are the type of games that you want to play in. You know, Jack State was also a pretty crazy game. I've been a part of a couple of them, but that was awesome. I think for the team, that was probably the biggest highlight too.
Appreciate it.
The winning touchdown, your choice to go under center, or is that how the play's designed?
That's how the play's designed. Yep. So we got it in there. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Thanks, Cole. All right, thanks, Cole.